Yo, Ray.
What's up?
Hey, ChronoNexus episode 3. We ain't gonna waste no time. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's start off with the fun shit, man. Diablo 4 beta open.
Uh, I put so many hours into that, like last week. That shit. I don't know. It's a solid like at first I said 9.5, but I'm gonna give it like an 8.5 because like once I thought about it, it was like some minor like issues, like nothing like game breaking or anything. Like what you thought about it so far?
I thought it was good. I thought it was good. I thought it was I'm definitely gonna pre-order it now that I got a chance to play it. Um I'm excited to really see like I really like level design, so I'm just excited to see like how some of the dungeons are gonna look as you progress through the story. But the side content was cool. I like some of the side missions to keep you busy and just exploring, doing those events in the open world. It was kind of cool, and just seeing random people just popping in and out the game. That was kind of cool. They gotta fix the. I hope them wait times is not in the full game though. That was literally my only problem with it. Just the wait time, and yeah, I just hope they don't put that in the paid game. That's my only problem.
Nah, I mean, and even if it is wait times, it'll only be like that at lunch. Like that's why they wanted to do this because it's more like a stress test.
Right.
Because that's how the Diablo 3 beta was. Like Diablo 3 beta was like fucking unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
Like that shit, it was way worse than this one right here. Like because a lot of people were able to just like log in, like no wait time, like right off the bat, never got disconnected, none of that shit. Like I actually like I forgot to trash the beta last last week. Like I was fixing to trash it so bad because I wasn't even able to get in like until we got finished recording
Mm-hmm.
last Friday. But like after that, like I had no wait times for like the rest of the beta.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. It's like it varies. Like I was talking to like a lot of people, and it's like some people haven't even gotten in yet. Some people get in, immediately get kicked out. Like once I waited an hour, like I was fine. Like I had horrible lag though, like terrible lag spikes. It would be like open spaces, and it would kind of be like I was hitting invisible walls. So like they
Mm-hmm.
definitely got to fix that shit. Like I don't know, it's like an improvement. It's an improvement for me though. Like you used to have to play Tetris in like the inventory, like with some of those old
Mm-hmm.
school like Western RPGs. Like I fucking hated that shit. And so like I'm glad that they like changed that. There were people bitching about it though, saying that like there wasn't enough inventory space, and I'm like, man, clearly,
What?
I'm like, clearly y'all didn't play any of the other ones because, bruh, like you picking up a staff and that shit taking up like 3 fucking blocks. Like
Yeah, this inventory was really easy to use. Like this one was really easy to use, and it wasn't confusing at all.
no, like I also seen people complain about like the talent tree, ability points, whatever you want to call it. Like to me, I'm like that's better for like customization because you're just not stuck with like one or two builds. You can really just like do like whatever the fuck you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
really. But like a lot of people were complaining, they were complaining about like all the skills, which was like stupid to me. But whatever.
No, it was kind
Like
of overwhelming actually. I felt like after really looking at the skills, because at first I was like, all right, so you could have lightning. I started off with the sorcerer just so people know. So I was like, all right, so you could do a lightning basic attack, and then you can have a fireball that spreads out and does damage and all of this other stuff. But then as I got further down the tree, I started thinking like, okay, everything started opening up, and it was like, all right, so if I want to do a complete ice build, which I always want to do, I can actually do that. If I want to do a complete lightning build, I could do that, or I could mix it up and do different stuff. Even with the necromancer, if I want to do a ranged necromancer build, which I was doing, I could do that. If I want to do an up close heavy damage necromancer build, I can do that. So it's a lot of it's a lot of different builds that you can make. So it's not just your typical skill tree where they give you the skills and then you just unlock them. You kind of got a lot of creativity with this skill tree.
right, like because in three, I mean, it was like you had like like a couple basic like skills, and then you had like a bunch of passives and shit. And so this seems just like purely like skills, except for like I noticed like on Sorcerer, like you could upgrade like your mana pool and shit like that. But
Hmm.
also, even if you don't want to spend like ability points, like I don't know how far you got, but eventually you'll start picking up armor that gives you ability points and other
Yeah.
shit. So like you don't have to spend those points, because that's how I think I got into the lightning abilities, because like at first I went with fire and that shit was just boring as hell. And so
Hmm.
like once I picked up the lightning was when I started having fun with it. Like lightning and ice, and like necromancer is broken. But if you stick with sorcerer long enough, you can break it with those ice blades, because basically
Hmm.
the game it'll play itself, because those ice blades like they generate another blade like passively. And so you can break sorcerer too. It just takes longer. Like necromancer is just broken off the bat. Like first skill I took was decompose. Like
Hmm.
I didn't even go to the other like skills. I just like kept upgrading decompose because I was like, I don't even need anything else.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
don't know. You have to do something. I don't know. People were saying like that barbarian was pretty broken too, but like I never touched barbarian like in any of the games, so like I can't speak on that. But, like I know you said you tried druid, you didn't like it.
Nah, because it was, see, my thing in uh dungeon crawlers is I like to avoid taking damage. So with the barbarian or any build where you primarily have to be up close, you have to take damage. It's not like an option to defend yourself. You have to take damage. There's no way around it. So with the druid, and basically with the druid, all the moves were the same. You turn into the werewolf and you just swipe people. You turn into the bear and you swipe people. So it was like it wasn't really any like anything different or anything to stick out with the druid. It was just all basically the barbarian, but instead of just using a sword or just a melee weapon, you just turn into an animal and using your paw. So I was like, nah, I want to do something where I can kind of be creative with it and figure out how I really want to play. So that's why I kind of ran with the sorcerer. But another thing I was doing was I was resetting all of my skill points. Like I was, if I found something I didn't like I got the fireball and I just felt like it was phony. So I reset the skill points on that and then I put it towards the ice blade. So that's another thing people can do in case they don't know. Like don't just leave your skill points stuck on something that you don't like. You can always reset your skill points, which a lot of games don't let you do. So that's cool.
Right, like you usually have to like pay, and like that shit gives you like unlimited like refunds until you hit
Mm-hmm.
like level 15. Like I will say, like as far as dungeon design, I swear to God, there was one of those dungeons. It was like an exact copy of like one from three. And so a lot of people for they were complaining that like they started to get like repetitive
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, which Eh, sometimes it can. Like I usually like to play Diablo like co-op. Like it's a whole lot fun like
Mm-hmm.
co-op. But I've been playing it solo, which I was still having like a fucking blast playing it. Like, but I mean, so far that was the only one. That was the only one that just stuck out to me or whatever. Like one of them was just like an exact copy, but like overall, like graphics, everything is like a complete like overhaul. I will say they did Necromancer dirty with character customization, because God, like they're so ugly
Yeah, the
compared to like the
necromancer
other
look
characters.
kind of like an NPC. Like it just looked basic.
Basic as fuck, and no matter like which of the presets you chose, the faces were like the same.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was like a bug or some shit, because in all the other ones, like if you chose like one of the different like races or like one of the different like faces, like those four faces like changed, but like it's like all of them had the same fucking face, damn near, and then they were all like fucking ashy. Like it was Like even the pale white girl was fucking ashy as hell. Like now I know they're supposed to look like undead, but it was just like it was too much. It was too much. I was like, man, I almost didn't even make one because they were just so fucking ugly. Like I almost went to Druid, but I was just like, nah. Like something in my spirit was like, don't even fuck with Druid because that shit was terrible on
Yeah, that shit
P.
was trash. That shit was wild trash.
I don't know. Like I'm excited. I'm really excited for it. Like I can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah, I gotta go. I definitely gotta reserve that. I'm gonna put some more pain in on that joint tomorrow. I'm gonna try to fit it in with some Resident Evil because that joint was really good. I gotta put some more hours in that. But moving right along, so I'm gonna let you talk about the crawl spaces. I'm honestly I'm burnt out on the fucking crawl space talk. Look, as
I
long
am
as it's
too.
not egregious, as long as it's not egregious like what was that fucking game where it was like so long and drawn out? Callisto Protocol. Oh my fucking goodness. That game was so egregious with the crawling through the vents. That was the absolute worst example that I could think of. Now, God of War Ragnarok did it a lot, shimmying through the spaces, but it wasn't like you was doing it for 30 seconds or nothing like that. Like Callisto Protocol has some spots where you were crawling through a vent for 40 seconds, and it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, especially considering how linear that game is. But listen, Final Fantasy, as long as it's like it was only 3 seconds, as long as it's gonna be like 3 seconds, I personally don't care. So I don't understand all the outrage, but I mean, I guess it's just something to talk about on the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's because they were trying to say like, when they were coming out with both consoles that they were going to be like no wait times, no loading screens, seamless transitions and like shit like that. And so I think people are like trying to equate like seamless transitions, I guess, to like the like loading areas, which I think seamless transition wasn't even about that. It was more so going from like cutscene to gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that shit right there is what's like tripping people up because like Diablo 4 has fucking loading screens. Like I haven't seen anyone complain about that shit. Like not one person, like of all the like list of complaints, because like Blizzard fans are kind of like Final Fantasy fans, like they bitch about everything. Like the loading screen was like never listed, like never fucking listed. Like who cares? Who gives a shit about loading screen? Like be for real. All these other glitches and bugs, but we want to complain about a loading screen. And like you said, like the clip that they showed, like it wasn't even long. And then I want to say people were complaining because they were like, why did they choose to showcase that? But I want to say that one in particular wasn't even about a loading screen. It was more so about traversing like the forest area was what they were saying. Because like I didn't even
Mm-hmm.
read like the translation for the tweet because I was just like, I know this ain't what we finna talk about today. So
All right, let's
like
let's let's make one thing clear about this. One thing I will say is we know that Square Enix is terrible at promotion at this point. Like we know that they suck at promotion and they are terrible with the rollout for everything. We know that Valkyrie Elysium didn't get the best showcase. Forspoken didn't get the best showcase. All of their games underperform because they don't know how to promote, especially to the Western audience. So I expect them to do stuff like show a fucking shimmy, in a wall, but because they just don't get it, and I don't know if it's the barrier or they just so locked into that audience that they usually have, but they always suck at promotion. So when I see stuff like this, it's just like, oh, that's regular Square shit. It ain't a big deal.
I swear to God, I was starting to think like they were trying to follow like these companies saw like the controversy with Hogwarts Legacy. And so Final Fantasy 16, like every time they post something, it is just like that's all you see. It doesn't matter what the fuck they show. At this point, I'm like, they doing that shit on purpose because like everything they post, someone like complains about. Like they just bitch about it for like days. It just drones on and on about like the most simplest shit. Like they showed at PAX East, they showed a clip of the dog as a puppy, and like people were they were complaining about that. They were just like, that's not traditional Final Fantasy. Like it should have been like a coral or some
Oh
shit like that. And I was just like, I mean, they've had dogs. I mean, they had one at 15. They had one at 8. Like, why are we complaining about the put? Like, they just, I don't know. I don't know. At this point, people are just like making controversy just to fucking make controversy.
man, I think just wanna people just wanna just I think people just hate on Square right now. Listen, everything you see in Final Fantasy, every time you see any type of wildlife or any creature, it's not going to be red from Final Fantasy 7. Okay, they're doing different stuff. They're trying to appeal to a different audience, and they're trying to become, more successful with localization. So every animal is not going to be red. It's not going to, So just relax, people. Just lay off of Square Enix. Let them put out the game, and then criticize the game. It's not an American studio, and I think that's what people fail to realize a lot of the time. But anyway, moving along. So, did you get a check? Did you look at Redfall?
Yeah, like I've been looking at Redfall. Like I ain't gonna lie, like when it was first like shown, I was just like, you know what I'm saying? But after I started looking at gameplay, like I don't know, like I'm super interested. Like and like they're the people that made Prey. Like I love vampires. It's gonna be. I thought it was gonna be linear, like some sort of linear co-op
Mm,
type game. But then I found out it was like it's open world horror, and for me, that's like perfect game for me. Like I love horror. I love open world, and it's co-op, so like that's cool too. Like I mean, you can have solo combat too, but like you can tell that they mostly made it with like co-op in mind, especially with like the Layla chick. Like since her ultimate is like some sort of like mass heal revive
yeah.
type thing going on. Like I really like level design. Like of course it's not like hyper realistic or anything, but it's like it's still like well made. Like the setting is just like really gory. It's like a good like horror atmosphere, kind of like some like a Far Cry horror type game. Like I was watching like a gameplay like video or whatever. Like the atmosphere was just like so well done. Like the area was like pitch black except for like your flashlight. There's like blood like all over the walls. Like words are written in blood, and so like at first I was finna be like they broke like the atmosphere because there was like this blue like glowing shit
Mm,
like all over the place. But like as soon as you turn around, like you get like jumped by like this grotesque ass like Mr. X looking vampire, and he is like fast as shit. On top of that, like the person like took off running, and I mean he was like on their ass like the whole time. So it's not like the cartoony ass like game that I thought it was like gonna be when I first saw it. It just looks like really well made. Like I'm really like
mm,
excited for it.
for sure. When it was first when they first showed it at the showcase, I felt like it was going to be. Well, when they showed at the showcase the last year, they made it seem like this is Back for Blood but
Right,
vampires.
right.
But after watching the new gameplay, to me, like you said, it's kind of like Far Cry. But see, I kind of don't vibe with Far Cry. So when I'm looking at games, the first thing I'm looking at is interiors. I love interiors because interiors to me really show how dedicated you are to making a game, because it's 2023. Anybody can make an open world that you can explore, put some shit in the open world, and just set you out there and have you create your own fun. But when I seen on Redfall where they were talking about the different ways that you can approach a mission, and they had one of the characters like sneaking through a house, and I saw a vampire walking down the hallway, and then they went to the other end of the house and they showed a puzzle where you got to find these dolls. I said, okay, Now this is looking really good because now you got the interiors where you have to actually, you have to actually focus. It's not just open world wave shooting simulator like they made it out to be, like it was going to be like that last year. They actually showing mission structure. They actually showing skills. They actually showing the different ways that you can approach each mission, the different ways you can tailor your skill set to be able to play it stealthily, approach the mission from the outside and clear out the outside, or you can go just sneak in a back door, or you could just go in the front door. It's just so many ways. So to me, that's my most anticipated game for Xbox this year. Like I said before, I really don't like Bethesda. I really never care for any of their games. So Starfield, I'm gonna play it, but it doesn't look like anything I'm gonna spend more than probably 5 hours on it just so I can have an opinion on it. But Redfall looks really, really fun. And the fact that you can play it solo or with a squad. I can't wait for that. I wish they was doing a beta for it. I really think they should, especially with the fact that Xbox don't have no games right now. But I'm hyped for that game. Like I might have to buy that game even though it's on Game Pass. That's how good it looks to me. So I'm definitely excited for that.
Yeah, like I probably ended up buying it too. Like I was also looking at the fact like that the vampire nests, they're not just it's not like a set level design. Like those nests, they change every time you go in there. And so to me that just keeps things like exciting because it has like a crafting system, so obviously you're gonna be like farming shit. And
Mm,
so if I have to farm, like I hate having to go like do the same shit over and over again. So like the vampire nest seems like it would it's farming, but it's not the same shit
mm,
over and over again. And also like the weapon designs look like really good too. Like I saw like a crazy looking gun, like it looked like it was made from like flesh and bone.
mm.
Like the skill trees look really good. Like you said, like I think I saw like the same video you were talking about, like that character he can like go invisible or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Like at first I thought he was gonna be like a loud type character because it looked like he had like some sort of assault rifle, but I also see he had sniper rifles and shit. So like to me, I like that because I'm not stuck having to play like the silent way. Like I can
Mm,
pull out like an assault rifle on him too, and then like that the Leela chick, she has like robots and shit, so you can like draw attention away from
yeah.
yourself while you like kill other enemies and shit. To me, like that was cool. It seems like they all have like a loud and quiet approach, which I like because I hate when characters are just like locked to like a certain play type and shit.
Hmm.
That's almost as bad as like gender locked characters.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the fact that I can pick a character and I don't have to worry that oh this is only like a heal a support type character, she's only like quiet, you know what I'm saying. I appreciate like the different play styles. It just looks like it's gonna be like really fucking fun. Like I know people, what was it like yesterday or the day before? Like when they everybody was talking about how there was gonna be a PS5 version, whatever. So people were like complaining about that. But I mean, Microsoft bought the studio, so like what I'm saying, what
Listen,
you expect?
get an Xbox. If you want to play the game, get an Xbox or play it on PC. Or you can get a Steam Deck. There's plenty of ways to play the game. Stop crying because a game that you want to play is not on your preferred system. It's been like that since the beginning of the time, and it's never going to change. Get over it. And also, um, what was I about to say? God damn. Um, I was about to say that in regards to Redfall, the game just looks it I like the extra touch that they put on it by you having to actually stab the vampires in the heart. that's a little touch that goes underrated because they could have easily just been lazy and just, just had you kill the vampires with your gun or whatever. But having to actually stake the vampires to kill them, chef's
Right, I
kiss.
like that too. Like I saw that they were like customizable. Like you had, but you have to actually like find those stakes like
Yup.
out. Like that was cool. That was really cool. That was a nice touch.
Yeah, that game just looks so good. But on the topic of Xbox, they are about to close the deal. They about to slam the door on the Activision Blizzard deal. It's like all but a surety that the deal is gonna 100% go through. CMA said they don't see any concerns for competition, so um, yeah, it's all but a done deal. Personally, like I said before, I have a Series X. It just doesn't affect me. It may affect other people if they play PlayStation only, or they don't have a PC, or they don't have a Steam Deck, or they don't want to play games on their cell phone. Because there is a variety of options and ways to play the games. Do I think that Call of Duty is gonna go exclusive? 100%. I do not, because if they make Call of Duty exclusive, they're gonna lose billions of dollars on PlayStation. Um, So yeah, I don't think they're gonna go exclusive with Call of Duty. Diablo 4 obviously is not gonna be exclusive, but I think everything going forward with Activision Blizzard will be exclusive except for Call of Duty. So if you care, you can elaborate on this deal going through or on what it means for you if you care or if you don't.
I mean, I really don't care. Like they offered Sony a 10-year deal on it, and they were like within 10 years, like make your own shooter. And I'm
Yeah.
like, if they first of all, do we really want to still be playing Call of Duty for the next 10 fucking years? But secondly, if Sony cannot make a shooter in the next 10 years, like that is on them. Like that's completely on them.
Yeah.
Like but it really doesn't affect me though. I mean, I don't care about it.
Yeah, this for us too specifically, this deal is kind of like it's kind of minuscule and it's kind of like not even like something to really elaborate on because we about the games, bro. Like we gonna play the games regardless. Like if Diablo 4, if they came out today and said, yeah, the deal is going through, Diablo 4 is not coming to PlayStation no more. We would just play it on Xbox or play it on PC or what the fuck ever. Like it really don't matter. This is really just like a waste of our time to be talking about because we're gonna play the games regardless. But Wayfinder. Um, I played the beta, the closed beta 2 weeks ago, and basically the easiest way I could describe this game for people is it's a more mature, it's a more mature and fleshed out Genshin Impact. Basically, not but basically, okay. What Wayfinder has his own art style. Um, we were not allowed to stream it, take pictures or videos, but it has its own art style. But it's just it's an action MMORPG where you go into dungeons alone or with your friends and you bang out quests, and then you go back get your loot. It's nothing. It's nothing new. It's not reinventing the wheel. It doesn't add anything specifically like creative to the genre or anything. But I just think that this is a game that we need because we really don't have any free MMORPGs on console. So although this game is not reinventing the wheel, it doesn't really add anything new. But it's like if you want to play an MMORPG on console besides fucking Onigiri, which is not even on Xbox, then I think you might be excited for Wayfinder. And also uh Onigiri, which was my favorite MMOJRPG, is actually shut down now on consoles. So I'm really looking forward to Wayfinder just to get that MMORPG fix. Um, but if you don't like Genshin Impact or you just don't like MMORPGs in general, you probably want to stay away from this game. Because like I said, it is literally you literally can play Genshin Impact or you know Final Fantasy, and you can get everything that this game has to offer. So while I was playing the closed beta, I went away from it saying, you know what, this is going to be good to have on console because we don't have anything else like it on console. But at the same time, I don't know how much I'm going to play this game because I've played it forever. Like it is literally just MMORPG, dungeon, and then you go back. It doesn't have any like special skins or like special abilities. It's got a couple of classes. It does have a parry for one of the classes, which I thought was interesting for an MMORPG. But beyond that, it was just run of the mill, man.
So like, okay, I looked at the Steam page, and so like, what you're describing is like so different from what they were saying. Like,
Mm.
because they were talking about like the Gloom Dagger, and like the Steam page makes it seem like this Gloom Dagger is just like genre changing or whatever, and like you control and like customize every fucking thing with like the monsters and the bosses and the materials and shit that you pick up. Like, was the Gloom Dagger in the beta, or like, or was it just not what the fuck they were talking about?
If the Gloom Dagger was in the beta, I have no fucking clue what it was. This beta was you start the beta, they you choose your class, which basically the classes was you get basically get a person with a gun, so you can have like a third person shooter. You have a person that they have a knife and they are the melee class, and they also have a parry. And then you had one more. I didn't actually play with the one more, so I'm not going to pretend to describe it to people. But um, yeah, they just dropped you into the uh, the prelude basically, and you go through it, and they give you the buttons, and then after that, they drop you in this town. Like every other MMORPG, they just drop you in a town, and you go around and you meet the people. They give out the quests, and then you go to basically these dungeons. And which when you go into the dungeons, it goes into matchmaking. So it pairs you with two other people, and then y'all go into the dungeon. The ones that we had was like it was basically like a cabin with like a bunch of treasure in it and these cool looking spider monsters, and you just go through and loot everything and kill everything, and then at the end of the mission you get like a mini boss fight, you beat it, and then you go back to the town, rinse and repeat. So it was nothing, it literally was nothing special. It was nothing I haven't seen before. It was nothing that's like, damn, yo, I gotta. And that's probably why they made us sign this. This NDA was the strictest NDA I've ever seen in my life. They made us sign this NDA telling us, don't make a YouTube video about it, don't take a picture of it, don't screenshot, don't stream it, don't record a video. If you upload anything from PlayStation to Twitter, you're gonna get banned. This, that, and the third. So they kept it completely under wraps because they knew that this game was generic. Um, but it will be cool to play because sometimes I just need a palate cleanser, especially since I can't play my dear darling Onigiri anymore. That's a conversation for another day. But yeah, man, it's gonna be good to have on console. But it was generic. It is nothing to write home about at all.
Yeah, like I definitely see why they had the NDA, because I swear to God, like I saw the trailer, and the trailer was, it was just like a cartoon, so it didn't show any fucking gameplay. Nothing. It was just like watching a cartoon. And so I was like, well, let me look it up, because I wasn't even like gonna mention this to you. And so when I looked it up, I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, it looks like World of Warcraft or whatever, but it looks like it's like action based. And so when I went to the Steam page, I'm telling you, I don't know if you like read the fucking
Nah,
the Steam page. But the Steam page is just like, I don't, man. They selling like, I was like, man, I'm like, we gotta talk about this shit. Like, this shit just sounds like fucking game breaking, because you've
mm,
never been able to like conjure and control like monsters and dungeons and all type, like the environment and shit like that. Kind of like what Atlas Fallen was looking like when you were like conjuring like up the different like the environment and shit. Like
Mhm.
that's what it sounded like.
It just.
You like
I
crushed
mean,
my spirit right now.
I was gonna say maybe the full game or the next beta that may be open. Maybe that's when they gonna unload the clip or something. It could just be that the game is still early in development. I'm not gonna slam on the game. It's not bad or nothing, but it's just like if you've played. Well, I can't even compare it to Fantasy Star. Fantasy Star doesn't have too many interiors, but it's basically like Neverwinter, but it
Right.
has interiors. You played Neverwinter before?
Yeah, I played it.
Yeah, it's like Neverwinter, but it's more interior based. You're not in an open world. You go to matchmaking and you go to specific dungeons, but it's the same like gameplay style. Nothing like.
I got you. I got
All right, so Trinity Trigger.
Yeah, so like Exceed had a playable demo for that at PAX East. Like to me, like at first when I looked at it, I was like, I don't know. But as I watched like just like the demo or whatever, someone was streaming it, like it just like throws you back kind of like to like that PS1 era type
Mm-hmm.
like action JRPG type thing,
Yeah.
like the Secret of Mana type shit. You got the little chibi type models. Of course, they're not sprites anymore. They're like in the like chibi form.
Mm-hmm.
But what sold me was co-op because we do not have. I don't think we have any co-op JRPGs like at all. If I think about it, outside of like MMOs, which those don't count because that's an MMO or
Yeah.
whatever. I wouldn't really count Genshin as that either because that's
Nah, I wouldn't never count one gotcha game.
you know which they're coming out with a new one. It just at first I thought that one was gonna be like you could create a character because they kept showing like different characters, but that is still like you pick a fucking character, and I was just like nah. Which a lot of
You talking about
people, a
the
lot
one
of
that you talking about the game the Genshin team is coming out with the space one?
yep, yep,
That's
yep.
turn based too.
It's turn based.
Yep.
I didn't know it was turn based. I was just they just kept saying, I was just looking at the gameplay. Well, I didn't look at the gameplay. I was looking at the trailer, which
Mm.
it was pretty. It was like a pretty like anime type game, but I could never get into Genshin Impact. Everybody else like loves it, but anyways, like I don't really think we have any co-op JRPGs. So like Trinity Trigger is definitely going to be something that I pick up, and I think it's on like everything. It was being showcased for like Switch. Like
Mm.
majority of these, like all of the little JRPG demos were like on Switch,
Mm.
but like all of them are coming out on like on everything. Like what did you think about the Trinity Trigger? Like
I think we need more games that are just like in that old school vein of it's just simple and just fun. Like
right?
like like just have you seen Justice League Cosmic Chaos?
No.
So Justice League Cosmic Chaos came out 2 weeks ago, actually. And people online are calling this game Diablo with Justice League. It's literally a top-down dungeon crawler in that style of Diablo, but you use Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And I think that is gonna be my Diablo fix until Diablo comes out because this game looks really good. But back to Trinity Trigger, yeah, it just looked like one of them classic PlayStation 1 games where you just go through, put your time in. You know what I'm saying? It's a focused campaign. I like the art style. I like how, they was traversing through the woods, just attacking the monsters. I really love the enemy design in these new JRPGs coming out. They doing different stuff, and they need to keep up with the enemy design because that's really selling me on some of these games that I otherwise wouldn't pay attention to. But yeah, it just looked like a fun time, and I agree we do need more co-op JRPGs. I don't know why these developers don't take the chance, don't take the risk, and just make like what if Star Ocean: The Divine Force was co-op? That shit would be amazing if you could play that. Because I'm running around with a party with two other people anyway, so I
Right.
don't think that it would really hurt too much to just, you know what I'm saying, let somebody else control the other two people. I don't think it would break the game or anything. So we do need more co-op games just in general that aren't just like competitive shit. So I'm definitely looking forward to Trinity Trigger.
That, and it's not like it's just like online co-op. It's also like couch co-op, which
Yeah.
we rarely have any couch co-op. Like
Mm-hmm.
because they want you everybody to just like buy the fucking game or whatever. So like couch co-op is like extremely rare on top of that shit. And so like I agree with it just being like a little cool chill type game. Like me personally, I need more of those because I have way too many like 1,500 hour
Yeah.
long games, like, and I'm just never gonna fucking finish them all at this point. So like, just just like little chill games, those are cool. Like, some you got some people that just they feel like those types of games, what I'm saying, they're like lame or whatever. But I don't know, like everything doesn't have to be like Dark Souls. Everything doesn't need to be fucking 400 hours
Mm-hmm.
long. Now, I don't know how long Trinity Trigger is, but I mean, it just doesn't look like a fucking 80-hour game.
That game is 30 hours max.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's like perfect right there. Which that was, I know you saw another complaint for Final Fantasy 16. I think the campaign is 30 hours with total
Yeah.
completion at 80, and people were like, it's too much. It's not enough. I don't, man.
Man, people are crazy. I feel like for me, $30. I say $30. 30 hours is always the sweet spot for me because I feel like after 30 hours, I feel like games start to drag, especially if it's one gameplay style. Like it's easy for a game like Grand Theft Auto, you know what I'm saying, to have a campaign that's gonna be 40 hours and have 100 hours of content because you can play it in different ways. But I don't need Final Fantasy to have a 60-hour campaign plus 120 hours in full total content. 30 hours is perfect for the main campaign.
I mean, yeah, it was to me. And then he like heavily specified that it's like 30 hours without dying.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I feel a lot of people is going to be way longer than 30 hours.
Mm-hmm.
People, people that are like the turn based purists or whatever, like that'll just make Final Fantasy great again. Like, I feel like because though they're also the ones saying like 30 hours isn't long enough. So I'm pretty so like
That's
I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be 30 hours for them. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if they gave it a chance, they might be pleased.
what
But
they gotta understand is that when you playing a game turn based, you automatically have to add. I ain't gonna say 10 hours, but you automatically want to almost double the hours just because the gameplay is not constant; it's different. So primary turn based players are looking at the game from the aspect of I'm spending time making these decisions. I'm spending time healing. I'm spending time using these different items. I'm spending time identifying weaknesses and waiting for my turn to do this. So ultimately, a game that would be 30 hours if you were just going through it and casting your spells on the fly and attacking on the fly, the game probably would be 50 hours if it was turn based. But it's a different style of game. Nobody wants to play an action game for 50 to 60 hours. It would get too repetitive.
Yeah, like I put in like an insane amount of hours with shit like Bloodborne and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, but that has like it has the replayability just because they're like different weapons, they're different builds, stuff like that. Final Fantasy, there are never like builds, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
say like for Final Fantasy 15 because they had their set weapons. You could pick a different weapon, but generally there is like the best shit for like everybody and that's
Mm-hmm.
what you go get and then you get the best spell and then you like spam that shit. And so like you had people that were making this argument that turn based is more strategic and I'm just like eh. You know, I guess it depends. Final Fantasy, I wouldn't say because it's Final Fantasy is always I need to get the best like weapons and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
spam like Ultima or if it's 8, I'm gonna be spamming like Meltdown and Ultima and Pain and shit like that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I'm gonna hit it with the highest my best summons and call it a day. Like you got you know, different type of bosses. Like say if you were playing 9 with Ozma, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like fucking it's random. Like your whole party just might be wiped out at random. Or in 8 you had like Omega weapon where you had to have like these hero drinks to make your party like invincible. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Or with 10 with Seymour, like the first and second fight where there was like a pattern that you had to follow to like kill him or else you were gonna kill him and shit. I mean, yeah, you have like strategy with like certain boss fights, but to sit there and say that like that 75th random encounter that you need a fucking strategy, like that's cap. Like that's cap at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like it is it's totally different from an action standpoint because depending on your build that boss might if you went in with a magic build that boss is like immune to magic its magic resistance is high as hell and now you're fucked. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You have to then come up with a strategy on the fly. Like those gameplay styles are like totally different. Like the community honestly has just like got to chill at this point with the cap because it's like ridiculous.
Yeah, they gotta stop that. I just think they just want to have something to talk about. But on the topic, but off the topic, yo, that motherfucking Hell House and 7 remake, that nigga put the Mac down on me. I ain't gonna lie, yo.
That fight was challenging and like in the original game, like that was one of the bosses I was looking forward to. It was that one, and I was looking forward to like the trash monster that's in the sewer after you
Mm-hmm.
leave the little brothel.
Yeah,
Like
that fight was tough, but that Hell House, that was probably, I don't want to say it's the toughest. I would probably have to go back and look, and that could be a good subject too, JRPG bosses. But that Hell House whooped my ass. I spent at least, I want to say, an hour on Hell House. He just kept cremating me over and over and over. I got so frustrated. I said, "Yo, what the fuck am I supposed to do, yo?" Like it took me a long ass time to figure out what do I gotta do to beat this nigga, yo. But
Hell
when I
House
finally got him, it was just the greatest thing ever. But the shit was so hard, man.
Hell House, it was terrible. Like playing that as a child, like that shit was fucking
I
horrible.
can't imagine playing that as a child. I can't, yo.
Like that, I ain't gonna lie. I was being like reduced to tears. I think I was like over. I think I was under leveled. Like it was horrible. It was fucking horrible. Like granted though, like I know from like my tweets, it might seem like I hate Final Fantasy VII. Like it's not my favorite, but I actually own. That's the Final Fantasy I own the most copies of. I probably played that one like the most. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like overly critical on it. Like Hell House was challenging, but like I've played it so many times, I was just like, I kind of know. I knew that shit was gonna be like some bullshit. It was a side quest boss. He was like a I believe like a magnet type
Mhm.
monster. That shit was hard as fuck too. Like I think that was like one of the first times I died because I want to believe that was like a gimmick fight, like toward the
Mhm.
end. And then those fights that when you get like hard mode where you go to the Shinra building, like those fucking fights start to get hard. Like you definitely like needed a strategy. Like you had to have a strategy. Like people that sat there and say that the OG Final Fantasy requires more strategy than playing on hard mode on the remake. They fucking lying.
Yeah, nah, that don't make no sense. That's delusional.
That is pure Delulu ass bullshit. Like if I understand. I understand like Final Fantasy is one of my it's my favorite franchise. Like
Mhm.
I'll ride for Square. Even when the games are terrible, I usually buy them any fucking ways because I'm excited when they come out with a new game. But I mean, the games can't be the same forever. That's why the company is like tanking and why like Final Fantasy 14 is pretty much carrying the company at this point.
Yeah,
Like they've got to try like different things. And then when they do come out with turn-based games, they still don't sell
they
as
don't
much.
sell. Yeah.
Like for the people that are like Final Fantasy should only be turn based. Like they still bitch and complain. Like they still fucking bitch and complain. Every time one comes out. Like even the older turn based ones. Every time one came out, like they still bitched and complained about it. So I don't know. I kind of feel like even with 13, I thought that was everyone's least favorite Final Fantasy. But now, according to Twitter, it was a hidden gem or whatever. So I feel like after the game comes out, it might not be as much bitching. Like a lot of people hated 15, but then those are the same people that were like they hated it because of like the combat direction. I ain't gonna lie, like the game had like 20 DLC that got fucking canceled or whatever. Like the story was rushed. I didn't like that part either. But their main complaints were like combat,
Mhm.
which to me that was like the best part was the fucking combat. Because if combat would have been terrible on top of the pacing of the story, like I would have been pissed. I would have been more pissed than what I already was. I don't
Listen,
know.
I remember in real time. I remember in real time everybody hating on Lightning too. So all them Final Fantasy 13 revisionists, motherfuckers, somebody gonna have to explain to me why they like 13 so much, man.
I
Because
swear to
people
God,
was not fucking with that game when that shit first came out.
for all the people that ride on Cloud's dick so hard, their main fucking complaint about Lightning was that she was fucking Cloud. And I was like, and that's their main complaint about Squall too. I'm like, Squall, Lightning, Noctis, like all those are Cloud's children. They're
Yeah,
his fucking kids. And I'm like, and y'all hate those fucking protagonists. And I'm just like, that shit don't make no sense to me.
yeah, that don't make no sense, man. But listen, that motherfucking look. The reason I will not play Final Fantasy 7 because I want to play it again. Well, I ain't gonna say I want to play it again because I don't. I wanted to play it again on PS5, but I'm not going through that Hell House shit again, yo. I can't do it, yo. I can't subject myself to that type of rage, that type of high blood pressure. I can't subject myself to that, man, because that shit, that's one of them boss fights where you think about how good the game was, and you like, damn, yo, I really want to run that shit back, especially now they got the DLC, but damn, that I gotta fight that nigga again. I'm good. I'll just wait till 16 come out. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I ain't fucking with him, yo. That nigga, he different. He a different animal in the same beast. I ain't gonna lie. Like,
I don't know. I enjoyed like the way that they designed the bosses
hmm,
because I was just like, I mean, we talked about it. Like, you have certain turn-based games that they're good. Like, I like them, but like they're just after a while they're like too easy.
hmm,
Like, you kind of like you out level them even before you get to like max level. And so with Seven Remake was just done like so perfect. It was just like the right amount of like difficulty.
That game
Like
was hard, yo. That game, they put some extra sauce on that motherfucker because that game was I never. Why was Hell House harder to beat than Sephiroth, yo?
I mean, he was never like the hardest to begin with, but it was just there are certain fights. Granted, like after a while, after like my second playthrough of the original, I found a glitch, so I can't even tell you like the actual difficulty of the game because I don't remember it, because you can unlock like Knights of the Round Table on the OG like as soon as you get to Tiny Bronco, and like that boss one shots everything up until like almost the end of the game. So like I can't even tell you about like the difficulty of like what it was supposed to be in like back in the day. Hell House was a good fight, turn based. Like even turn based, that was a nice ass fucking fight. Even like the first boss, like that scorpion. For like an entry level
Oh yeah,
like
he was tough. He was
tutorial
tough
type.
for entry level boss. Yeah, he was tough.
Yeah. Like the scorpion thing on seven, even if turn based, it teaching you could still die. Like you were still going to die like if you just did stupid shit. Like, and so in the remake, them making it still like you would die was, I don't know, it was just really well made. Like I remember fucking Kotaku they said that they couldn't finish the demo because they couldn't kill the fucking
Oh yeah, I
scorpion.
remember that. I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. I remember that.
Oh my god! I was like, man, like anybody can be like a fucking journalist these days. Like it's terrible. Like I actually saw them when you were saying Redfall needed a demo. I'm not, or a beta. There has to be a demo because I actually saw a Kotaku article today. It was in Australia. They were reviewing someone that had played it. They had played like a demo of it, and
Mm-hmm.
so fucking Kotaku was talking about how Bethesda doesn't fuck with them or whatever. They were like, we understand why, like they because y'all complain about everything.
Yeah.
Kotaku a trip.
So Taku is trash, but hey, we gonna save them for another day. We gonna save Kotaku and these journalists for another day. But whoever designed, look, it's a difference between when I fought the Scorpion. Even when I fought Sephiroth, I cleared him the first time. When I'm fighting the Scorpion and Sephiroth, I'm like, damn, yo, they tough. They tough, but I'm gonna figure out their weakness and I'm gonna take advantage and I'm gonna keep healing myself and we gonna get it done. But whoever made Hell House, go fuck yourself. Whoever made Hell House in the remake, go fuck yourself. I don't like you because I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking to myself, when I'm fighting a Scorpion or any of these other bosses, they was whipping my ass at some points. I don't think I died too many times throughout the game. I probably died to all the other bosses combined. I might have died maybe 3 times total. Hell House, I died at least 12 times just to him. So by the time I'm fighting him, I'm like, yo, just please have a weakness, yo. Like, please, I'm dying. I'm going back to the inventory. I'm switching up my skills. I'm trying to figure out what the nigga weakness is. I can't do it. He one shot niggas. Come on, man. Whoever made Hell House, stop playing with me.
Hell House and the fucking, it wasn't the squats, it was the fucking pull ups. The pull up mini game had me like about to pull my hair out. I had to cut the fucking volume off. Like that's like the only way I was able to do it. I swear to God, I did that shit for like 2 days, 2 fucking days. That shit was horrible. It was fucking horrible trying to clear all the way that last fucking set of pull ups. That shit right there was fucking, man, my fingers were like numb and shit. Like that shit was fucking crazy right there. Like that whoever, which people also fucking bitch about, but Final Fantasy VII Remake was like that shit was like top tier. That shit was like good as fuck.
Yeah, that's one of the greatest games ever created. Like that's one of the greatest games ever made. They put so much care into that. Speaking in the remake Resident Evil, I'm gonna go over it really quickly because there's really not too much to say about it. But with Resident Evil 4, I expected that they would just basically remake the original game, make it look better, and that was it. This game is like so different. And I'm not talking about in the mechanics. I'm talking about in just the level design. Every level in every area looks so much. It is so different than the original game that it's almost a different game. Like I just finished the uh, the fish boss fight when you were on the boat before we started, and the game is just so different. Just the layout of every level is just completely different. So anybody who thinks that it's just another remake, it's just another remaster, it's not like Dead Space. It's not a 1-to-1 as far as level design and layout. This game is completely different, and it is really, really good. So everybody needs to play this game. Everybody should play this game. And it's definitely going to be in the running for the game of the year, regardless of whether people think remakes should be in it or not. And plus, I think this game is so much different than the original that it's warranted for it to be in the game of the year conversation. I know you ain't playing it yet,
Nah,
besides the
like
demo.
no, I'm not playing it until Monday. Like I can't even like put it on the PS5 right now as my kid. Like he would lose his shit because
Mm-hmm.
he just keeps asking me about it. Like he hasn't even played a game because he was just like he want to play that.
Mm-hmm.
So like I can't even like preload it or anything like that. So I'm gonna play it once Diablo's done, and I don't know. I'm excited for it. Like I had a lot of fun with the demo, and then like I played it on PS2. Like it wasn't one that I replayed a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
even if it would have been 1-to-1, it basically like basically would have been new to me because like I
Yep.
don't fucking remember that shit. But
Yep.
I'm
See, I
excited for it.
see. I played Resident Evil 4 recently for basically the first time because I had it when it came out in 2005 on the GameCube, but at that time I was like not really like a house kid. I was 13 and outside getting into dumb shit. So I played it for probably like an hour or 2 hours and then I like never touched it again. So it was basically brand new for me when I played it. So it's still super fresh into my mind. And this game is completely different. And the parry and the stealth, the fact that you can use stealth to affect the way that you play the game and approach missions is just this is a brand new game. But is there anything that you want to add from PAX East before we roll up?
I mean, not really. There was only like the only one that really stood out was the Fort Solis. Like it's like a third person like thriller, like story driven
Oh
type
yeah, yeah, I've seen
game.
that. It kind of looked like not look like because we ain't seen no gameplay yet, but it kind of reminded me of the trailer from of Stars Above, which I recently just beat.
Yeah, it's see Scars Above though, it had combat in it though, didn't it? Like I'm not sure if Fort
Yeah.
Solis is gonna have fucking combat. Like it has the MC, I know he's voiced by Jack Clark, who was Arthur Morgan or
Mm,
whatever.
mm,
And so it just the way they described it, it sounds like it would be done, even if it turns out to be like a walking simulator, like no combat type game. It just seems like it might be done better than the other ones because they listed shit like Detroit um
yeah,
Become
Detroit Become Human.
Human,
Yeah.
and they also listed like Dead Space and shit like that as games that were that like inspired them. And so shit that stood out, one, it's the game, the whole game is just over the course of like one night. So it's not like multiple days or anything like that. But I don't think it's gonna be necessarily a short ass game because the entire game is open like from as soon as like you drop in. And so there are like nine areas, and each of the areas of like the space station, because you're on Mars, has like two levels that are above ground and below ground. And there are like vehicles outside that you can like drive around in, like on the surface. But they added in like this sandstorm mechanic. So like as the chapters progress, like you can't see. So like there's varying like degrees of like visibility, which he was like by the end, like you're just not gonna be able to go outside, period, because you can't see shit. And so the only thing gameplay wise, like that they mentioned was like some of the areas to like open up. They're like puzzles. Like obviously some shit happened because you see like people like are dead. There's like blood and shit. But like I just didn't see like a monster or anything. Like I didn't see like any combat. And the fact that they're like telling the story, like they really like hone in like this is like we're telling a story, and there's shit like surveillance cameras and like like the record logs and shit like that. So it's kind of making me think there might not be any combat
Yeah,
to
they said that it doesn't have combat, but it will have certain segments where you can choose combat because they say it's a interactive narrative game.
Yeah. So I also know that there's like multiple endings. They didn't
Yeah,
really say how many endings, but I know they were saying like the choices you make, which that's like standard in those types of games for like replayability. So I don't know. It looked interesting. Like the only other one that looked interesting was Loop 8, Summer of the Gods, and like that game was like all over the fucking place.
yeah. I couldn't
Like
even really find no gameplay on that.
there it's turn-based combat. There is combat. The graphics do look janky as shit. Like they look janky as fuck. It's like a so it's got like that visual novel aspect of like Persona, like the Persona games. And it's also like, Persona and I guess like super old PlayStation 1
Mhm.
era, like it was a game called Thousand Arms, where like you interacting with like your party members and shit, like gave powers and shit. And so basically from the way and there's like no leveling system in the
Mhm.
game. It is purely based upon your social skills. So like I seen a boss fight, like you had like a shitty reputation with like the characters, and so like you was gonna die. Like you were dead as fuck. Like they were missing attacks and like all kind of fucking shit. So it's like it's different from just like regular turn based like attack. It's literally kind I guess how you would say like with shonen anime, like that
Mhm.
power of friendship trope. Like they literally made that shit into like a battle mechanic. And so like that just seemed interesting. But at the same time, I don't know about them janky ass visuals that they had going on. The story was like interesting because it's like you're stuck in like a time loop in the
Mhm.
80s in Japan, kind of like Higurashi or whatever. And I know there's like weird ass monsters and shit going on, and there's like a lot of fucking characters
Mhm.
because you have to like I said, like the whole like think like the social link shit from Persona. So I know that one's gonna release on like everything, and since it had that demo, gameplay should be coming out, I guess, after this weekend when PAX East is over with. Because I know like generally they don't want you to like stream that shit. Like some people like they bring them GoPros in, they like break that shit, but most people generally don't show gameplay until afterwards. So
Mhm.
I don't know. That's something I'm gonna look at.
Yeah, it look interesting. I like the enemy design. They fighting this big ass dog that look like a tree. Looks kind of
Right.
it looks interesting. it looks interesting. I'm definitely gonna tap in with that one. I need to find me a game to break like my turn based, like how I feel about turn based games, because some of them just look so good, but then I play it and I'm just like, oh, I cannot make it through this shit, bro. Like, so I have to find the one. I gotta find the one. Like, because when I go back, like I tried to make it Legend of Dragoon, but it was just so outdated at this point that it just felt so slow, and I just couldn't get into it. Probably because it's just so outdated. But I think either that one, and then I'm probably gonna wind up checking out that what was that game? That Atelier Ryza 3. I want to check that out. I'm gonna watch some gameplay of that because it's interesting how the combat is like it's not turn based, but then it is, but then it's like turn based, combo, action based. It's a weird. I gotta look it up more, but the way that they explained it was just so weird and so different that it kind of had me intrigued, especially with the graphics. But I'm gonna look into that more probably next week. Um, this is episode 3. I think it's probably the best episode yet. Ray, do you want to add anything to take us out?
Nah, that was pretty much it. Like, we covered like a lot of shit. Even more shit than last week, I think. But nah, like I think we're just like we're starting to like get more comfortable, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, with it.
I think we made a lot out of nothing this episode because this was a really slow week. This was
Yeah.
a really slow week, but we made it work for an hour and 11 minutes. Listen, make sure y'all follow us on all the platforms. Darkland_Ray. It will be up in the description on Apple Music and Spotify podcast. 29.9 Gaming. Hey, ChronoNexus gang, and we'll see you next week.